Joining us in studio, Republican candidate for the United States Senate, Blake Masters. Blake, thanks for coming down.
Great to see you. Thanks, Mike.
Let's start with the abortion conversation. It seems like every other commercial on television now is talking about your stance on abortion. And now the headline came out this morning that you have basically scrubbed your website of your abortion stance and you're backtracking.
Yeah, fake news. Go read the website. It is the most detailed, most pro-life agenda of any Senate candidate nationwide. What I did is go on the attack. I added some language to it that points out, Mark Kelly, he calls me a pro-life extremist. And I'm pro-life. I don't make apologies for that. But I added some language to call him out. Actually, they're lying about me and my position because they're the extremists. Mark Kelly votes for the most extreme abortion laws in the world. We are talking no limits up until birth. That's what the modern Democratic Party believes. The media didn't like that I'm reclaiming the narrative. I'm going on the attack. I'm pointing out his abortion extremism. And so you get headlines like this. But I invite people to go to the website, and I'm not going to run from being pro-life.
I agreed with the ending of Roe v. Wade and what the Supreme Court did because it gives it back to the states. I'm a big states' rights believer. Where does that factor in for you? What's your opinion on that?
I am glad that Dobbs, reversed Roe. You send the issue back to the states. I think that's where the pro-life movement is going to pick up and continue the fight, right? And I support that. I do think that there's a role for the federal government, though, and I've campaigned on this. I've been clear on this time and time again. At a certain point, hey, great, let's let Texas make its decision and Arizona make its decision. But no, at a certain point, the feds have to step in because at a certain point, everybody of good conscience knows that is a baby, a fully formed human being that can feel pain, that's created in the image of God. I mean, I'm a Catholic, I'm pro-life. But, my policy, what I'm going to focus on in the U.S. Senate is getting a ban on partial birth and third trimester abortions. It's like 90% of Americans agree we shouldn't be aborting babies at 7, 8, 9 months. And so let's get that done. I understand that that's not enough for many people, but let's get that done. So now I'm taking heat from all sides, but you know what? I just think that's the right thing to do.
Still the number one issue for people, and the abortion issue has now become a bigger one than it was before, but still the number one issue for people is the economy. There have been people on both sides of the aisle looking at the student loan forgiveness, that the Inflation Reduction Act doesn't do anything for inflation. Where do you stand on these issues? What needs to happen if you go to Washington? How do you build a coalition to slow some of this government action down?
Well, I think we slow a lot of it down simply by taking back the House, simply by taking back the Senate. We can stop these crazy Joe Biden spending bills. You never have to wonder how Mark Kelly's going to vote when Joe Biden proposes a bill. He's just an automatic rubber stamp, yes. I was a little disappointed with Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin, who caved and voted to pass the Inflation Reduction Act. But at least you had to wonder, are they going to do this? Are they not going to do it? Okay, they did it. And the problem is, Inflation Reduction Act, right? It's Orwellian. When you name something like that, when the Democrats name that, it's just going to do the opposite. It's going to increase inflation because what it is a tax and spend bill. They raised taxes on middle-class Americans, on businesses during a recession, and then they're just spending hundreds of billions of dollars. They're printing the money, and they're going to spend on Green New Deal prerogatives. It's going to make inflation worse.
I want to talk about that Green New Deal aspect of this. My opinion has been that the Biden administration sees everything through the prism of climate change first, and that's where everything flows out of. Now we're talking California, Massachusetts, and I think Washington State are going to say no more gas-powered vehicles by 2035. Is that even feasible, and what does that do to the neighboring states?
It's not feasible, although it could cause a lot of damage, right? But that's the thing. You said it. They're so ideological about this climate change stuff. Mark Kelly, Joe Biden, they don't actually care if you're paying double for a tank of gas, even triple. They don't care. Like, that's worth it to them. They would rather have you suffer but get their Green New Deal, their climate prerogatives over the finish line. It's why Pete Buttigieg is so out of touch. You ask him about inflation, and he's like, well, if you don't like your higher gas prices, maybe just buy a $70,000 electric car. I mean, what's wrong with you, right? These people are so out of touch. They're obsessed with their climate ideology, and they don't care that normal people are suffering because of it.
Blake Masters is joining me. He is a Republican candidate for the United States Senate, the Republican candidate for the United States Senate in Arizona. Another very important issue in the state of Arizona, but definitely one that you will impact if you win this seat, is what's going on at the southern border. What do you think of two things? What Governor Ducey did by putting the wall up, or the temporary wall up, and what do you think of the buses being sent from Arizona and Texas into D.C. and New York?
I applaud Governor Ducey for building those walls. I hear some grumbling from the grassroots that it's too little too late. And I say, I'm glad that we're building those, and I want him to do more of it, and he's to be commended for that. What do I think of sending buses of illegals to D.C.? It's cute, right? And all of a sudden you get the D.C. mayor, you get the New York City mayor saying, wait, we don't want these people. This strains our social safety services. And it's like, hi, we've been feeling the brunt of this here in Arizona. This is what we're telling you. But, I don't want to just bus them to D.C. because I don't think they should be in this country. Bus them back to Honduras or El Salvador or where they came from, because, you don't just get to forum shop and claim asylum and come here. No, Biden has created this crisis and it needs to stop. I think call me old-fashioned, Mike, but I think the correct amount of illegal immigration is 0.
Do you think it's possible that we can come up with a deal where both sides of the aisle come to the table and effectively secure the border and revamp an immigration system that allows for good people to come to this country and bring new blood and for other people to live the American dream? Can that deal possibly get done?
I think so, but only in a Republican-dominated Congress. I think you can work with Sinema, hopefully. I think you can work with Manchin. I don't think you can work with Democrats like Mark Kelly or Bernie Sanders or Chuck Schumer. I think they're far too ideological, far too left-wing. They believe in open borders and globalism, and we don't here in the Republican Party, and independents and moderates don't either.
So how do you address this? Mark Kelly has spent a lot of time saying he's been calling out the failings of the federal government at the border and saying that he's strong on the border. Do you dispute that? Do you say he isn't?
I absolutely dispute that. No, it's nothing but a lie. Mark Kelly spent 18 months just carrying water for Joe Biden. Anything Biden asks for, he just says, yes, sir, please, sir, more of this. He's an open borders guy. I know he gets on TV with fancy, expensive TV commercials and pretends to be a moderate. But I actually talked to border sheriffs in Arizona. I actually talked to Border Patrol people, and these people know Mark Kelly has just left them hanging out to dry. He's done more than anyone in Arizona, probably in the country, to help Joe Biden drag this country further in the wrong direction. I think Mark Kelly is literally responsible for the deaths, the murder, the rape that's occurring at the southern border, and the fentanyl that's killing so many of our young people north of the border. He personally is responsible. He could have put a stop to it. He's failed at every turn to do that.
So if you win the seat, how do you work with the senior senator, Kyrsten Sinema? Have you had any conversations with her before? How do you guys work together for what's best for Arizona? She seems to be a little bit more pliable to your ideas than any other Democrat in the Senate.
I think we'll probably have a good relationship. I think it's possible to praise Senator Sinema too much. I think she's too left-wing. She still votes Democrat like 95% of the time. But I do respect where she's willing to show independence. She promised to be independent, and God bless her, where it really matters most sometimes on the, preserving the filibuster, for instance, she has been independent. She knows how to tell Chuck Schumer to go pound sand, and I respect that. Mark Kelly, he made all those same noises. He promised to be independent. 2 years later, his trial run, it's just the exact opposite. It was a lie. I know people don't want to believe that, an astronaut was a liar, but, he sold his vote to Chuck Schumer. He has no independence of mind, and that doesn't reflect Arizona.